Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of MTD North America. Today, I'm with my friend Scott, and we are at Apex. First and foremost, what I would like to share with you is that Apex gives back to the community and to charities, but I'm going to let Scott go into that. So Scott, again, thank you for being a part of MTD North America, and let's learn a little bit more about how you give back and support your local community.
Happy to do it. Actually, in our case, it's a national community. We are a nationwide company. All of our products are sold nationwide. So in our case, we are donating to we have a thin blue line series trigger, which means any of our triggers that are a black body with a blue center safety, that's a thin blue line trigger. With those, we donate 25% of the retail value of that trigger to the COPS organization. COPS is Concerns of Police Survivors. That is basically an organization that's around supporting the families and friends of fallen police officers in the line of duty. So yes, a spouse or whatever would get a potential insurance payout, whatever. But then there's the other people in their lives, their children, their friends, people who are affected by that death. And they're the people who seem to be a bit underserved in this kind of situation. So this organization is nationwide, and they do a lot of stuff all over the place. Anytime there's an officer down, they get involved where they can to help people out. So for us, it's just a way to give back. We do a lot of sales to law enforcement. I'm former law enforcement myself. My business partner was a former law enforcement trainer for a long time. So for us, this is a way we can hand back to those guys who put their life on the line every day.
Well, as you know, MTD is about manufacturing and engineering, so we don't get into politics about things, but I would like to say thank you for supporting a community that's obviously, in some situations, an incredibly difficult job. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to thank you for your service in that industry before jumping into this as well.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit more about Nakamura now.
Sure.
So this Nakamura machine has really helped you kind of run lights out like a lot of your other machines. And if people have watched these videos of MTD with you guys previously, we know that your goal has been to run a 24-hour shift and get more products out by continually upgrading your machinery within this building.
Absolutely.
So now we're talking about Nakamura. What has the Nakamura done for you?
In this case, we took rotary work off of a 4th axis mill and put it into a lathe. We're making some parts right now in this machine that are otherwise a mill part. But what we were able to do, instead of having 2 or 3 operations on this part in a mill, or having to get a robot arm to come in and snap the part off and fixture it and op-to it, or op-3 it even, we were able to do it in one operation over here and spit out a part, bar feed the stock, and keep going. So in this case, we run these lathes 24 hours a day making their parts. So it ups productivity. 1 operator per shift. They're just monitoring, checking parts as they come off, checking offsets, the usual stuff. But parts come out of the machine, they do a quick deburr, check out what they've got to check out, and they move on. So a lot less operator time, a lot more machine uptime, and it just works great.
I mean, you've kind of nailed all the points already. We could probably end this video, but I'm going to just kind of ask you in the details of what you brought up just now and say, okay, bar feeder. Obviously, that allows you to run 24 hours a day. It's a one and done setup now, right? So when that thing drops into the bucket, you're more or less checking measurements and it's out the door kind of a thing. And I'd imagine, based on this being a Nakamura, and everyone knows the quality of the Nakamura, there's a lot less fear that something's going to come off wrong, right? You know, it's probably going to be good, but you're still measuring it, of course.
Absolutely. They're a robust machine. They're built well. They have the reputation for being a very solid machine. That's why we bought them. And they run. They just run. All of our operators who come in here go, ooh, you've got a Nakamura? Cool, let's check it out. They like them. A couple of our guys came from other brands, 15 years in the other brand, and he went, I like this better now. I'm like, perfect. So it's worked out really well for us. But yeah, it's the confidence that the machine will run and keep parts going off the machine. We don't have to worry as much about little minor machine errors and whatnot, because they're just super precise. They run well, and they hold up.
Yeah, very well said, and I appreciate you sharing that information. Did you, prior to this Nakamura, try to run this job, and were there complications with what you were doing before which led you to get the Nakamura, or did you just see an added benefit of the lights out and the bar feed and all that kind of stuff?
In our case, we were looking to improve the overall productivity of the machine it was on before. So we brought in a consultant to look at robotizing that machine, putting a robot arm on to snap the part off the tabbing and load it into an op-2 jaw and have that finish it. And oddly enough, as he walked through the shop, he goes, hey, you've got that Nakamura sitting right there. So I bought one, and I was doing some barrel work on it. And he goes, you got a 2-spindle lathe right there. Why aren't you making these parts in there? And I went, oh, man. Okay, you know what? You've got a point. So we decided to give it a shot. It took some tooling and some experimentation, but it works great. So we've saved the handling. We've saved having to buy a robot arm that's a separate component. We have one machine that gets it all done in one shot. There's no interface, connection, communication potential errors. It's all just one machine and the one and done. So it really just, it makes the biggest difference for us having it all in one package deal. You turn on one machine, the whole thing comes on, it's all working, it's all doing its thing. It's not, oh, the robot went down, oh, the device isn't working, oh, this isn't, because that's all separate stuff. There's one machine, one setup, one thing.
What I really like about this story, Scott, is that there are multiple ways to create a part.
Absolutely.
You mentioned different setups, a robot, Nakamura, you had the machine, somebody from outside came inside and helped you set off that light bulb. But there are multiple ways to do things, and then figuring out the best way that works for us is important. And you've done that so much so that, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's another Nakamura on the way.
I have a third one on the way, yeah. It's become to the point where these have basically become glorified mills, to put it that way. But they're auto loading, auto unloading, and fourth axis. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, and then back to the point that we've discussed in other videos for the people who are watching, we're really emphasizing the amount of work that an employee or a coworker can do, right, by running multiple machines, because this thing's going to kind of do its own thing. The Kiwa that you have is going to kind of do its own thing. After 3.5 hours or 7 hours, you might need another setup. Your robo drills are set up same way, so you've really optimized through Methods Machine Company and their support the ability to really create significance with your employees and allow them to do multiple things within Apex itself.
Absolutely.
Well, again, thank you so much for being a part of MTD and sharing this story. Scott, you're awesome. I hope that this gets to trending and you become famous because you deserve it. And thank you for giving back to a larger community. I mentioned local, but we know that it's a national community. Thank you for doing that as well.
Thank you.